One, two, three, four.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Not Just Cricket, a brand new cricket program bringing you something off topic, off the beaten track of the beautiful game that we all love. This is your host, Ahmed Khwaja, and joining me as a very, very special guest is former Ireland Test wicketkeeper, ODI wicketkeeper, and a great of the game of Irish cricket, Naill O'Brian. How are you doing, Naill?
Morning, very well, thank you. Great to join you. Looking forward to this.
Bright and early start there for you.
Very bright, very early. Yeah, everything here in the UK is going well. Plenty of cricket on in this part of the world, but I've been following the PSL as well as always. Fantastic tournament. So looking forward to getting into the latter stages now. Very exciting time.
Absolutely. The formalities of the group stage have been done. Lahore and Quetta have been packed off, sent back from Abu Dhabi. They're heading home, unfortunately for me, because Lahore is the team of my heart. But that's how it rolls. But let's talk about the road to the final of the first qualifier between Islamabad United and Multan Sultans. Let's focus on the Reds first. Islamabad United absolutely rollicking the competition. 8 wins out of 10 in the group stage for them.
Yeah, they've played some good stuff, haven't they? They haven't been curtailed or derailed from the change of venue. Obviously, moving to Abu Dhabi, they've played some good stuff. They're a very established franchise, very well run from the coaching setup to the management all the way through, and they have a stable base of players. You know, they've got a core throughout their squad that's been there for a long time. So there's no surprise really that they're there or thereabouts. And the big thing with a lot of the problems the franchise had, they've missed out overseas players. They've had to bring in recruits, replacements. Some of those replacements have even needed to be replaced. But Islamabad have done some really good business with some of their recruitment. Usman Khawaja especially has been absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, Islamabad, they are a brilliant worldwide franchise. I say worldwide, not just in the PSL. They are a great global side. And personally, it's nice to see them do well because they had Paul Sterling, one of my ex-Ireland teammates, for a brief period. He lit up the tournament with a wonderful half-century in just his second game, but unfortunately Paul couldn't return due to commitments in the UK. But I know for sure that he's watching from Belfast and he's hoping Islamabad can go all the way.
Absolutely, he was in stunning form in the Pakistan leg of the tournament, and they were unfortunate that he missed out. But you did mention Usman Khwaja. Of course, he got his, I believe it was his maiden T20 century in the format. Absolutely stunning innings versus Peshawar Zalmi. And he's had a pretty good tournament, 175 runs at 58.3 in his 5 games. And equally competent alongside him is the Kiwi opener Colin Munro, 241 runs at 80 in 5 games. So their policy of having overseas openers has worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, you watch the PSL through the years and you always have fantastic fast bowling talent and there's always quality spinners, we know that. But often you're looking for some of the overseas batsmen really to step up and put runs on the board. And I think Usman Khawaja was a very good signing actually because I think he's been a pretty good player back in the Big Bash for a number of years for the Thunder. Obviously, Khawaja is a great player. Munro's been around a long time. You know, Colin Munro plays every tournament you turn your TV on, Colin Munro is there. All of a sudden, the last, I reckon, 12 to 18 months, Colin Munro is just starting to get a little bit more consistent. Played the Big Bash for the Scorchers, did very well. And it's good to see him up front, smacking the ball. And as a fellow left-hander, nice to see a couple of lefties doing the business. So Munro, they certainly have set the standards really high for Islamabad.
Well, you mentioned the new ball. Then they have the likes of Hassan Ali and Mohammad Wasim Jr., who've been outstanding with the ball for them. Even Fahim Ashraf is very solid, very reliable. Let's just talk about Hassan Ali's numbers. He has 12 wickets in the PSL at an economy of just 6.28. Mohammad Wasim, 11 wickets at an economy of 7.6. And Fahim is able backup. So they have the bases covered. They have that overseas top order batting. And they have those quality Pakistani pacers. But their middle order, though Iftikhar and Asif Ali have given solid performances so far. But do you think that if you knock Usman Khawaja and Colin Munro early, they could be a bit vulnerable against Multan there?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Iftikhar Ahmed, you know, and Asif Ali, because I think they're two very fine players. And actually, they're probably the perfect foils for the batting lineup when you've got the likes of Munro and Khawaja. So I'm not too worried. I think their middle order is pretty good. I think they're happy enough. Hassan Ali, I think, is a fantastic bowler. You know, I think he's kind of getting back in some wonderful form again. Was a little off colour for a while. I think that's everyone. He probably fell out a little bit of rhythm, but he's been around a long time. He's a senior pro. Bowls good pace, got good skill. He's a wicket taker.
Right then, I think we've discussed the Reds at a pretty decent clip. Let's talk about their opposition then. Multan Sultans, an outstanding fight back they've had in the tournament. They were right rooted second to the bottom in dire straits, but all of a sudden they've arrived in Abu Dhabi and their form has been transformed. 4 back-to-back wins, and they've found their bowling combination, but it's been right at the top. Mohammad Rizwan, second highest run getter in the tournament, 470 runs at 52. And Sohaib Maqsood, 304 runs at 38. These two guys have been the linchpin of their comeback.
Yeah, Multan, they're a team you have to love. I just love how they go about their business. A couple of seasons ago,
they have that underdog factor. I think that rubs off on you as well.
Yeah, I just think that they're a franchise that are thinking outside the box. A couple of years ago, when their owners, went about this, data analysts, they were going really hard down the data route. Probably before it's become fashionable now. You see a lot of teams around the world now using data to a massive extent. And Andy Flower as coach, well, he's a top quality coach. He really is. He's all around the world working now. He's a great thinker of the game. I'm not surprised actually they've turned around having someone like Andy Flower at the helm, because he's very astute. I've been lucky to work with Andy Flower a number of times and speak to him about cricket, and he's a deep thinker.
Let's talk about Multan's bowling then. That man Shahnawaz Dahani, an absolute spark, an absolute revelation, an emerging bowler from the outskirts of Sindh, which is a very, very underdeveloped province here in Pakistan. Not a home for fast bowling at all, but he's bowling proper heat, mid 140s, and 20 wickets in 9 games is an absolutely sensational performance.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. I speak to many friends of mine in Pakistan and people who are involved in the Pakistan side down the years, and they just said this lad is absolutely incredible. A star in the making. Are we surprised that Pakistan cricket have unearthed another absolute rock star fast bowler? Not really, but it's a great story. As you mentioned, where he's come from, probably what he's had to go through to get to this stage in his career. And every time you see him, he's got the biggest smile on his face. It's absolutely marvellous to see. So I'm delighted for him. The top wicket takers in the tournament, all Pakistan players, top run scorers, all Pakistan players. For me, that's fills me with great confidence. Multan Sultans, it's not surprising that they've unearthed this player, because as you spoke about, their data, their unbelievable knowledge of the domestic game and scouting system. They have camps. They always have camps in all these different regions. They're giving back. Multan Sultans, they're giving back to the game of Pakistan. And it's great that this young bowler is coming through. And I would love to see him go and rip out the top order. That would be brilliant. Go out, take 2 or 3 early and really rock Islamabad and see what Islamabad have to offer. So let's just keep an eye on this lad, because I reckon he's got a big future.
Well, they do say age is but a number, and you're only about 39, 40. So any plans to suit up, pad up once again, grab those wicket-keeping gloves, get back in there?
I actually have a game, a charity game, fundraiser in 2 weeks' time. And
brilliant. So you have plenty of time to train, get ready.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get in the nets. I spoke to my dad last night. He's an ex-Irish captain.
I'm getting back at you for that shirt in the background, 2007. Oh. I'm getting some serious PTSD right now.
That's Mohammed Sami's jersey. He wore that in the game against us on Paddy's Day. He's one of my good friends, Mohammed Sami. He's a good man.
Absolutely brilliant. But let's talk about the weak points of this Multan Sultans team, though. That batting order is pretty shallow if they have Sohail Tanveer batting at 7. And that could be a very serious point. Khushdil Shah hasn't quite delivered up to the expectations. Got picked for Pakistan, played a few T20 games. But having Sohail Tanveer at 7 leaves that tail pretty long.
Yes, Sohail Tanveer is a good cricketer, but he's not a number 7. He could bat number 8. He wouldn't necessarily look out of place at number 8, but he's obviously there for his bowling. They need some more product out of Riley Russo, really. One of the overseas players. You want your overseas, as Islamabad had, you want your overseas smacking a lot of runs.
Well, you're backing Multan in the first qualifier, and I think I'm on board with you. I don't want to see those bloody Reds win another title. It's going to be very hard for my Lahore to get back into the game if they're 3 away from us. But let's move on to the first eliminator then. Peshawar Zalmi taking on the Karachi Kings. Let's talk about Peshawar Zalmi for a minute here. Sherfain Rutherford has 241 runs at 34.4 in 10 games, and he's among the top three most six hitters in the PSL 6. Shoaib Malik has been reborn, been outstanding in the tournament, making a lot of 50s and doing well in Abu Dhabi conditions. What do you think about their team's combination and their main strength in this clash?
Well, Peshawar Zalmi, yeah, listen, Rutherford is such a good hitter of the ball, and he, came on the scene a few years ago, really, and burst on the scene, and then went a little bit quiet. But he's found some good form under the leadership, Darren Sami, Mohammed Akram, obviously involved as well in the franchise. So I think a lot will depend on Rutherford. Shoaib Malik, for me, I think over the last 5 years, one of the best T20 batters in the world. He's gone around the world playing all these franchises, and he's won a lot of titles. A brilliant chaser, very, very astute, very calculated in his run chase and chasing down a score or setting a score. So I think they're going to rely a lot on Shoaib Malik for his experience. And when you get to these eliminator games, these are high pressure games. You got to get it right on the day. You can't have a bad 2 or 3 overs because you're out of the contest. That's where someone like Shoaib Malik's experience is going to be so crucial.
And of course, they came to the playoff stage with 5 wins and 5 losses. So their form has been a bit patchy because of the batting inconsistencies for the most part. But another main I would like to mention is the Mohammad Irfan, the big 7-footer, 7 wickets at 7.21 in 7 games. He comes in with that new ball in and he gives them a bit of bite, something extra. And more often than not, he does get an early wicket for them.
Yeah, he's a wicket taker. His economy rate's pretty good too. So he's been around a long time. He just gives you something different.
And well, that's it for the yellow storm of Peshawar Zalmi. And finally, it's the Karachi Kings, who just about limped into the playoff stage thanks to a miracle win, with a miracle batting from Danish Aziz against Quetta Gladiators. But they do have the kingpin of them all, Babar Azam, 501 runs at the PSL at an average of 71.5. He has been absolutely imperious. And Shajil Khan has been quite handy at the top as well, 312 runs at 31.2. But they just got in through the back door. But now that they're there at the big show, at the big dance, very dangerous side, very unpredictable.
Yeah, unpredictability really is often a trait and a phrase used with Pakistan cricket as a general, and Karachi kind of typifies that this year. They say you got to be careful of the wounded animal, and I think Karachi, as you mentioned, just kind of snuck in there. So you got to be very wary of Herschel Gibbs on his side, because Herschel Gibbs is fast becoming a fairly highly renowned and highly acclaimed coach on the franchise circuit. So Karachi, I've got a bit of a soft spot for them. I like them as a franchise. Babar, they're just so reliable.
Because you picked their name, you tweeted out their name before the PSL even started, way back in the day.
I did indeed. But I love Babar Azam. I think he's such a fine player.
Well, that's not going to cut it, Naill, because I need a prediction from you. Who's going to take this win?
Okay. Well, I reckon I've had Peshawar's name to win, and then I've crossed it out. Then I've gone to Karachi. Then I've gone back to. I'm going to go for Wahab and his boys. Okay.
And honestly, I absolutely agree with you. I think they have the better impact players. So I'm also backing Peshawar Zalmi to get the deed done and knock out Karachi Kings from the PSL 6. All right, now let's talk about the X Factor player here. We're just talking about the young guns, those emerging players, like you mentioned earlier, that have had a huge impact in the tournament so far. So the clear choice for Islamabad United is Mohammad Wasim Jr., the young buck, another excellent fast bowling prospect, 11 wickets at an economy of 7.66. So he is clearly the standout performer for the Reds.
Yeah, he's bowled really well. He's picked up a couple of good holes. What he's done very well, actually, he's dealt with adversity. He's had a bit of tap in a couple of games where he's been dealt with by batsmen up front. And young bowlers and young cricketers, you always look to see how they react to a difficult over or two. And he's bounced back nicely and come back with a good haul. He's done fantastically well for his side. He's another young quick coming through the system. Every year we see it in the PSL. Every year every side has a new quick. So let's just see how he goes. He's obviously learning his trade, but no better time to really stick his hand up and win a couple of games for his franchise than the knockout stages.
And for your personal favorites, Multan Sultans, we have to look nowhere else but that man, the Larkana Express, Shahnawaz Dahani, 20 wickets at an economy of 8, the top wicket taker in the PSL. No need to discuss about him. He's pure class.
Yeah, pure class, pure pace, really natural pace. Fairly wily character. He's not one of your big muscle men, but he's tall. He kind of hits the deck. He bowls a good pace. Can he get it? Can he get a bit more pace? That's going to be the interesting thing watching Dahani over the next couple of years. Can he add a 4 or 5 Ks on? Can he get up to that kind of rapid kind of pace? At the moment, he's bowling good pace, real good gas. But you just wondering, can someone put on an extra half a yard or a yard just to take him to that next level? But I'm sure he's going to be playing for Pakistan very soon. Everyone's very excited, and Carlos Brathwaite, who is over here in the UK, I think they're best friends. I think because he's chatting about him every opportunity, so it's good to see.
Absolutely, they have a true bromance going on, and kind of like us, to be quite honest.
Good man, I love it.
Right, then let's talk about the Yellow Storm. Then Peshawar Zalmi, they have a couple of blokes. Mohammad Imran Jr., the left-arm seamer, bit of a Rana Naveed type bowler. And they have that young Harry Potter lookalike, Abrar Ahmed. He's been pretty sensational in his one game. He completely spun a web around Karachi. What do you think about him?
Well, when you look at a franchise in any tournament, they say, right, we need someone who can bowl quick, we need a left arm quick, and we need a mystery spinner. That is your database, your prototype. Call it what you want. Your Christmas card wish list. That is what you want. Yes, you need your batsman who can smack it up front and get big scores, but you want someone who can bowl left arm quick and someone who can bamboozle the batsman in the middle. And this youngster's got it in absolute spades.
Absolutely. And of course, let's talk about the Kings. And they've got that big unit, the Burley unit. Arshad Iqbal, he's already played for Pakistan, played a single T20 against Zimbabwe. And he's very, very similar to a teammate of yours, Boyd Rankin. He reminds me a lot of him. Big burly seamer, and he hits the deck hard.
Yeah, he's a big lad, isn't he? Big, strong guy, hit the pitch. His death bowling skills, can he fire those Yorkers in at that height? That is always such an advantage if you're coming down from a big height with a big frame. If you can slide your Yorkers in, what we have to be, realize, be realistic. These are young guys still learning their trade, and we can build young players up so quickly. And we have to be realistic that they're going to have ups and downs, and it's how we, how they kind of come back to the kind of.
Okay, Naill. Now let's talk about the Fantasy 11. Let's see which guys you have picked for your best 11 between the clash between Islamabad United and Multan Sultans. Let's see how good you are, and I'll compare it with mine.
Okay, let's see. I'm sure I'll get a few selections that will annoy fans from both the franchises.
That is the goal.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, listen, I've got Munro obviously to open up in fine form. Overseas batsman. He's going to open with Rizwan. I want my wicketkeeper, and I want a right hand, left hand. I could have went with Karachi to open, but I've got a right hand, left hand, which I think is a very, very important role tactically for a batting lineup. So I've got Munro and Rizwan to open. I've got Khawaja coming in at 3. It's a pretty strong top 3. I've got Asif Ali, who I think is a fantastic cricketer. I think he's a wonderful striker. The ball batting 4, and I've got Sohaib Maqsood, who, as you mentioned earlier, has been in good form. A lot of runs, a lot of confidence. Got a little bit tricky then. I'm not going to lie. It got a little bit tricky. So I've got Shadab Khan to captain my side. So I've got him to bowl a bit and bat at 6. People might say it's a little bit high at 6. I think he's a good batsman. I think he's perfectly capable with bat at 5 or 6. And then I've got Ashraf. I've already spoken about my respect and admiration for Fahim Ashraf. So I've got him coming in to bat at number 7. Clout a few over mid-wicket at the back end and bowl those wily seamers, just kind of keeping the batsman honest, as it were. And then I've got Hassan Ali, who's had a really good campaign. His pace is back up. His skills are back up. He's playing with a smile on his face. So I'm happy with my, that kind of middle to latter order. Then I've got the spinner, Imran Tahir, just to turn his arm over, get out of that power play, get Tahir into the attack. I've got the big Zimbo, big man from Zimbabwe, Blessing, Muzarabani. Maybe
Love
people,
him.
Yeah, people might think, well, what are you doing picking him? There's other options. Well, yeah, there are other options, but I like him. He's come in, gave up playing for Zimbabwe, almost turned his back on Zimbabwe, came to play in the UK, didn't work out. Had a lot of injuries, played for Northamptonshire down the road for me, went back to Zimbabwe. Well, what a 6 months he's had.
All right, then, Nile, that's a pretty damn strong side you've made between Islamabad and Multan. But let's see you come up with a fantasy 11 for Peshawar Zalmi and the Karachi Kings.
Yeah, this was a tricky team to pick. Actually, I don't envy coaches. I must say it must be difficult to pick a team, but I reckon this side I crossed out about 15 names and replaced them. I was up all night. I didn't sleep last night trying to come up with this team. So I've got obviously Babber to open up, top class player, best in the business. Goes without saying. I didn't know. I didn't know where to go with Cameron Akmal. Maybe opening up. I've watched Cameron for so long. He's a good friend of mine. I didn't open up. I put Guptill. I brought Guptill in.
Mm. He's struggled big time at the PSL, though. Not made any runs.
He has. He's been very up and down. He was one of the people that I crossed out 3 or 4 times. But I'm just of the opinion that, a top-class player for a long time has got to shine at some stage. And you're right. He has struggled. But I'm just backing his experience to come through when the big moments come. So I've got Guptill to open the batting. And I'm going to slide Cameron Akmal to number 3. So Cammy's going to bat 3. Hope you don't mind that, Cameron. But you may well be in very early because Martin Guptill might be out very early. So it might not make much of a difference. And then I've got Shoaib Malik at 4 just to kind of add that experience. Calm shoulders, level head, get the side to a totally try and defend or get a side over the line. That's my thinking with Shoaib before. And then I've got Shafane Rutherford at 5, who's, as you mentioned earlier, we spoke about a natural 6-hitter. And when you bat in that middle order, kind of 4, 5, 6, definitely 5 or 6, probably the most difficult positions to bat, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because you're on a bit of a hide into nothing. If you're 10 for 2 and you're batting 4, you're in trouble. You've got to rebuild and you can't really go for your shots with as much freedom as you want. If you're batting and you're 100 for 2, everyone expects you to go out and hit every ball for 6 and you get out early. So it's a difficult position. So actually, Shafane Rutherford is ideal kind of hitter for that region because he doesn't think too much about it. He goes in, sees the ball, hits the ball, and at the moment it's coming off. So he's playing with good form. I've got Zadran Najibullah. I've played against Najibullah Zadran a lot for Ireland and Afghanistan, and he's someone I always thought I'm not quite sure about him. I'm not quite sure. He kind of comes out and hits 2 6s, then gets caught in the boundary. But he played well a couple of games ago. I just think he's got something about him that I reckon he's going to sparkle here. And his side will obviously hope he will. So that's a bit, he's another one that I had his name out a few times, his name in. But I've gone, you know what, I'm going to back my friend from Afghanistan. I'm going to back Afghanistan cricket here. I put Zadran in. And then I've got, some experience. Imad Wasim, yeah, I think he's a fantastic cricketer. I think he's a really, really top-class, wily bowler with the ball. And with the bat, I think he's better. He's a better batsman than people give him credit for, actually, I think. And he's very highly regarded here in the UK with Nottinghamshire in the Blast. Obviously won the Blast with Nottinghamshire last year. So nice bit of experience. And then you get Wahab. Wahab will tell me, and he'll probably WhatsApp me. He'll probably WhatsApp me after he sees this show. He'll say, no, you bat me way too low. But Wahab, you're batting number 8, my friend. Just go in there and give it a bit of a whack and then bowl your beautiful left armers up front. Takes him early. I've got Irfan in. We spoke at length about Irfan earlier on. I've got to put him in, really. I need wickets early on, so he's a wicket taker. And then I've got Arshad Iqbal and the youngster, Noor Ahmed from Afghanistan, the left-arm wrist spinner.
All right, then, Naill, we've done the road to the finals. We've selected our fantasy 11, and I've talked about the X-Factor players as well. But now I'm going to really put you on the spot. You've been faffing about, but I need an absolute on-the-spot prediction for each games. Islamabad United versus Multan Sultans. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to go for Multan Sultans, the underdog. I'm going to go against the informed Red Army. They've left out Khawaja and Munro for the last game. They've given them a rest. I think it's going to come back and bite them. Multan for me.
And, of course, Peshawar Zalmi and the Karachi Kings. Who have you got for that game?
I'm going to go with Wahab. I'm going to go with Darren Sami and his men. Peshawar for me. I think Karachi just too unpredictable, too reliant on Babar Azam. So I'm going to go with Wahab and the boys.
Right then, there you have it. Naill O'Brian, King, the brother of King Kev, is saying that it's going to be Multan Sultans, and of course his mate Wahab Riaz for the Zalmi. So those are two very, very interesting predictions. I'm not sure I completely agree with them, but that'll just be about our episode for this week of Not Just Cricket. This day, in fact, we'll be back with you regularly. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And thank you so much, Nile, for your time.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Karachi Vs Osaka.